Bienvenidos a nuestros espectadores a nuestra segunda sesión de Afterlife Nexus Guest Services. For those of you who didn't understand it, welcome to Girls Run These Worlds for the Afterlife Nexus game we're going to be having here for our second session of Guest Services. My name is Angela Lemos Moravejo. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm going to be your GM for the next 7 weeks, as we've already had our first week, and our players have been introduced to the rather emotionally distressing to a certain extent, but only just starting to do so, home for their what they've discovered dead selves of Hotel Nexus. So before we get into more of all that and what is likely to be an emotionally grueling session in which our players maybe cry, and I enjoy the fact that I've been able to facilitate a cry for them in a safe and endearing sort of fashion, the usual stuff. We have to get introductions out of the way, so I'm going to call on someone, and then everyone else, popcorn style, name, pronouns, character pronouns. So I'm going to start with our fantastic, wonderful producer, Aida.
Hi, that's me. My name is Aida. My pronouns are she and her, and I will be playing Ren, whose pronouns are they, them. Ren is believes themselves to be a very well-kept, magnanimous, generous, talented individual who needs to be in charge of many things and who believes that nothing can be fixed without smiles, good words, and maybe a drink or two. And I'm gonna popcorn it to Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star Alta Mirage. Sorry, that's where the twinkle, twinkle stopped.
That's what you get, bud. Don't drink.
Of course. Hi, I'm Alta Mirage. They, them, those are my pronouns. I had to remember what they were. I was just like, what am I? I have to ask myself that every morning.
Same.
You can find me anywhere at Alta Mirage. I am playing the miserable little man who is he, they, so kind of man. Ophir, that's his name. I love him dearly. I'll go ahead and popcorn to DK.
Hi, hello, that's me. I was ready. Hi, I'm DK. My pronouns are she, they, and today I will be playing your, not that she knows it, noted explorer Quest Nightingale, whose pronouns are also she, they.
Let's pass on over from there to Gina.
Yes, I forgot that part.
It happens.
Hi, I'm Gina. She, her. I am playing Antonia. Also she, her, very soft-spoken. I think that's all we learned so far. Soft-spoken. Dead. Yeah. So from there we are going to Diana.
Hola, everybody. I go by Diana Moon Online. I use she, her pronouns. You can find me on Twitter and Twitch at No, not Twitter and Twitch. Twitch and YouTube at xDianaMoonX, or Twitter at Diana Moon. And I am playing Captain Jimena. Knows they're dead. Still believes they're the bad bitch of everybody and that they should be listened to and be flirted with, and they'll flirt back. And they are trying to remember they've lost something important for everybody, not just them. And yeah, we'll see how well that goes today.
Yes, we will, because there is quite a lot of possibilities and directions that we can go during the session. But before we get into that, for both our live viewers and also for folks who are tuning in on VODs, I have to give a disclaimer in regards to content warnings. So this is a series that inherently, by nature of the themes and such, and what we decided going in, will be dealing a lot with death. And it will be dealing with not just grief, mourning, and all of the complications for those who are left behind in regards to death, but it will also be dealing with a variety of other factors, such as, well, potentially neglect, potentially very toxic, and in the vein of like partner abuse, partner death kind of situation, like very extreme, like in the sense that like we will not try to necessarily go too in depth about the details, but it's very clear if you read between the lines what some of the elements could be. And so because of that, I have to give a warning that if those are not things you want to engage with, or if you don't want to engage with elements like pretty frequent discussion of food, because food is a touchstone, not just the kinds of games that I run, but it is a touchstone of how the players could potentially interact with their characters to recover memories. And if you're not really down to think about very kind of unsettling aspects to bodies in terms of like suddenly remembering having like light bulb kind of memories or traumatic memories come back, because trauma is a pretty recurrent theme throughout this series, please feel free to step away at this time. Or if there's any point in which you are watching and think, maybe I can't continue with this, please feel free to step away. We would never ask you to sacrifice your mental health and well-being for the sake of tuning into a show. That being said, we have tried to, from the get-go, from session 0 onwards, already tried to check in about safety tools and a variety of other ways in which we are trying to intentionally and collaboratively check in on one another, because the kinds of stories we would like to tell with these characters can be pretty harsh, but we feel as though they merit telling. So, all that out of the way, let's continue in this world of Hotel Nexus with, as I said before, session number 2, guest services. So, bringing us back into the fold, into this world. It's been maybe a day or two. Hello, Cat. That's Cat Vantage for everyone's benefit. So just so you all know ahead of time. It's been about a day or two since you've arrived here. You've been escorted to your rooms by Jean-Paul, the mysterious, esteemed, and maybe not quite human caretaker and overseer of Hotel Nexus. He has, for the record, rebuffed all advances made on him by any number of individuals. I will claim no specifics, but he has shown no interest as of yet. And right now, I think a good way of starting us off this session is let's do kind of camera pull in to each of you waking up in the morning. Now, we did at the end of last session, I believe, talk about at the very least where folks were staying, what rooms, whether they were rooming with each other. So feel free to anyone who would like to grab the narrative torch and lead the way to start off with what's the morning like for each of you. Because you haven't really, I'd say, been given too much leeway as of yet to explore the hotel, mainly because it's just been a lot of sorting out details, because it's only been about a day. But what does the morning look like for each of you in turn?
For Ophir, first question is, does our room have a balcony? Very important.
I will say yes. It overlooks what appear to be vast hedge gardens that just at some spots seem to create their own mazes, but a curious pattern of all of them. Anytime that the mazes seem to create like an actual, like noticeably identifiable structure of some kind, it is always either a depiction of a condor or is a depiction of some sort of serpentine-like creature.
Cool.
But you are able to like overlook it. So if Ophir, for example, wanted to have something to look at to draw, you have a very beautiful and clear view of the gardens.
Lovely. I think that Ophir hasn't been particularly talkative to his roommate, despite approaching and being like, give me room. So he's just kind of been curled up on his bed, just ultimate tucked into these big old blankets and just like burying himself in them. But whenever he wakes up, he spends as little time as possible in the room. So usually we'll be out on the balcony, either just wistfully staring into the distance or most likely drawing. he's drawing pretty often, and it started off pretty frantically when he first got here, and it's settled over the past couple of days, but he's definitely been trying to draw the same general thing, maybe from different angles, maybe from different perspectives, but the same themes of water, flowers, hands are usually present.
I mean, it's a recurring cycle of memories and images that keep just going back and forth through Ophir's mind. None of them seem to have any real connection to one another as of yet, but these are on loop. And perhaps in the midst of their stupor, who happens to let's move to your roommate. Who was decided that was going to be your roommate? Who happens to perhaps catch you in the middle of all this?
Yeah, so Jimena had quietly agreed to having Ophir stay with them, whether or not that was supposed to be. And I think because they're still even though they have a feeling they're pretty positive they didn't die on their ship. They still have that routine feeling of the captain's one of the first ones to wake, and so and artists tend to sleep in. I don't know, that's my general impression being an artist myself. We like to sleep. So they're up before Ophir, and what they would do is make sure Ophir is still alive, breathing, however that works, because it's still mentality. And then
Yeah.
and whether it might not be every time Ophir wakes up, but definitely whenever Ophir comes in from the balcony, there will be like a mug of something. Could be coffee, could be tea, could be beer, but they leave something there. And they spent the first few mornings like, yeah, kind of treating like Ophir like a stray pet. Like you give them time to acquiesce. You don't, try to bug them
You're
too
correct.
much. Exactly. And so I think for the first day, they spend time looking at the tattoos that they have in the bathroom, feeling like these aren't the tattoos I should be having, but at the same time, they feel right, and kind of looking around. And 1 second, sorry.
Filling in that space. I'm just imagining it's like, this isn't the right kind of sexy I should look like. I should look sexy, but this isn't right.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
More.
like, what does this mean? Why do I have like this pool of water as a tattoo? That's so silly as a pirate, you know. Um, why isn't it waves or something? And then I think like instead of doing intended what they had first meant to do, which was to go and talk to people, they've been looking for different exit strategies, both out of the room and then down the hallway and then in like the main like lobby area. And if anyone approaches them, of course they'll chat, but right now that's their like they feel like they don't know why, but they feel like they need to be sure that if something comes that they can escape, not to escape to not fight them, but to escape so that no one else, so that they would be followed, so that no one else would get in trouble. And that's pretty much their first few days.
You know what? Just 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 for the sake of seeing if you come up with anything, I will give you a challenge to check to make for me. You may use any one of your attributes in course. So the general idea for those of you who are new to the system is this is a dice pool system using d6s. I hope you remembered to grab your d6s. If you did not, use this moment to do so. I will not judge you. You choose a core and then an attribute from there that form the total numbers from there. When they're added up, will equal your dice pool. The check challenge that I give you number will be how many successes you need. Successes are 4 and above. So choose how does Jimena, I feel like I already know one of the ways this could be, and I'm setting myself up for more flirtatious moments that perhaps I should have remembered I signed on for. But what are the ways in which, what way does Jimena specifically try and find out more information while it's kind of combing some of the hotel?
I think again, in the beginning, it's more observation. It's more like looking around and everything. But they also observe like, oh, there's certain hotel staff, not obviously the main ones, but like, this, because you always need to look at the underlings to see how they react and do things and what their schedule is. And I think they would like they would talk to them primarily and be like, hey, how are you, like, how do you like working here, kind of way. So I think to me that would be mind.
That makes sense to me.
uh,
So let's go with mind.
ba, 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 ba. I was not smart in putting my sheet onto this laptop, so I'm just basing everything on the G-Docs. I was like, oh yeah, I should have probably
This is
done
why I
that.
do a lot of reference materials for everybody. There is a
Yeah.
reason why a GM who cares about their players is a good thing.
Yeah,
I
so
know
I'm looking
players,
at
they
I'm looking
sometimes
at that
forget.
right now. So I'm like,
So you have apply, percept, and reason as possibilities. So you're using mind. So I would be inclined to say percept seems appropriate here, given that you're just trying to be lookout at this point.
mm-hmm. Ba, 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 ba. Where is? And I do have my dice. I barely remembered when I got my coffee. Usually I'm more prepared. I apologize.
You're in a different place. It is perfectly fine. But yes, it is just a challenge of 2.
Taking time here means that we all better understand what's going on.
Yes, all of you come to understand the idea of please look at your stuff.
Yeah. I have my stuff. It's not obviously a complicated system. It's just I'm so used to PBTA by this point that I'm like, how do we do other dice pool things?
It's just this is attribute core attribute, add the total. That's your dice pool of d6s to roll. Trying to reach the challenge amount, 4 and above is success. That's the general thing to remember.
The first 2 I rolled was ones. That was not good.
Not a great start.
Oh no. The second set was 4 and 6. So yay, I think I did it.
That's your 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are able to succeed in that one in that case. So combing around, you'll notice that there are a variety of different staff who are involved in different ways. There's apparently stuff happening down my street. I will close that window in a moment. You see that there are a variety of different staff here who seem to have a mixture of positions to them, whether usually there's more of an elaborate wear to some of the folk who seem to be in charge of more specific wings of the hotel. You do notice some of them seem to have like on the outfits some sort of pictorial representation of what they're in charge of. One of them seems to have something related to a body. One of them seems to have something related to sound. And then there's also the person you're likely to have run into would have been the name you would have overheard her have the name Lucia, who seems to be like the most common person who like would have woken possibly up any of you in the morning to be like, hello dears, I'm going to be taking care of all of your messiness and such. Please do not worry about it. Please do not try and cause an extra mess and give me more work, but please don't worry about it. So you would at least have one additional contact if you wanted to try and have a conversation with Lucia.
Yeah, I think it's always good to like have it in with the maid, like the head maid or what have you. So I think like maybe after the like Jimena arranges it where it's just like they come back to the room just as Lucia is like coming out and it's like, Lucia, ¿cómo estás? How's everything? I hope we didn't make too much of a mess. Not that there's anything to make a mess. Ophir seems to be a quite a tiny lad.
Hope you get wrecked at right in the morning. Anyways, she responds and says, "Preciosa, preciosa. It's good to see you in the morning again." And let me see. I'm trying to think of what's a good character reference for having a sense of like. I'm trying to remember. Christ, is it Rita Moreno who's the woman who was in West Side Story?
Yes.
Am I remembering that right? Yeah. Someone big Rita Moreno vibes. Like the
Nice.
big kind of chunky glasses, the big bun, done up bun with like super gray hair, but like as much as involved with physical labor and everything with cleaning up and such, always looks so well put together, so done up all the time. And it's just sort of there and it's just sort of like always greets you with a smile. You've never seen her in the past times. Uh Yes, Arnica Ross, Rita and her sister Pete days. Very much there, smiling and greeting you. Would you be interested in me getting you? I've already tried to leave a cup for him as well, but if you'd like, there's a couple more drinks and such that we've managed to prepare this morning for breakfast. If you would like, I was about to go and check in on everybody else as well.
I mean, I would appreciate that. Trying to remember what I used to like before, but everything's all muddled and I don't seem to have, and they like pat themselves down, frowning again that they don't have their knives and everything. They just have this odd crossbow arm thing, and don't seem to have any coins for you.
Oh, do not worry about that. We are well compensated in our work here.
How are you compensated?
It is a mixture of our requiem is denied by choice, but we have found our way through our work to be here because we believe in all of you.
Are you a nun?
I'm certainly somebody's sister, but I'm not that kind of sister.
I mean, why else would anyone want to deny? From what I'm understanding, that's what we're all here for, is to get to that point, right?
Because sometimes people lose their way, and sometimes they need a reminder to come back.
But you're still you that you remember, or you that were you when you caught here. You haven't been, I've heard of some places where they like do the hand motion over their head kind of thing, like kind of implying the blink twice if you need help kind of.
Dear, to reassure you, let me go through that in order of your statements. Number one, bold of you to assume that I remember entirely who I was. Number one. Number two, I do wonder what sort of terrible things you've gone through to think that people can't just want to be kind to you. And number three, what I remember is enough to keep me going. And as I said before, our work here is both its own compensation, and Jean-Paul takes care of all of us. He is a most astute and compassionate of hotel managers here. And I say that without any sort of psychopathy added into it. I realize that that's the kind of thing that someone who is, I believe the terminology is a corpo might say, but there is.
I actually don't know what corpo means. Out of character. You mean corporate?
Corporate
oh,
scum.
okay.
Corpo as in someone belonging to the corporation and such.
Okay. Well, that is somewhat reassuring. I like you, so I'll believe you.
Passes over a very warm mug of something. It looks like it's a very hot drink that the smell coming off it looks as though it's like made from purple or white corn. There's hints of pineapple, water, cinnamon, and sugar in it. And
nice.
it feels very refreshing. For those of you who don't know what that is, look up the drink Api. It is quite tasty. But
I was actually hoping for a hot corn drink that you're gonna suggest, but I was gonna go with the basic atoll, but no, this is nice.
No. We go more specific.
Yeah.
So I go for more Bolivian references because Haida is here and I am here. Therefore, there will be more Bolivian references.
Uppy is
And
purple corn.
Yeah, that's also the other reason why Api. It literally is that. So yeah, fun facts with Angela as your GM. You're just gonna get exposure to a lot of food stuff, and the same thing will probably happen with Diana and I here. But
Yeah.
she presses the mug into your hand. She says, "I have to attend to everyone else
Of course,
now,
I do
dear.
apologize for taking your time.
No. You are fine, but please do try and believe some of us actually like you." Because it sounds like you don't know what it's like for people to actually want to be around you. And just sort of casually walks off, and that like very says that kind of thing where you're like, if you have a grandmother who's like simultaneously super comforting and also, why did I just get burned? Why do I have third degree burns? And I didn't realize they happened. It's big that energy.
I think it's
energy.
like they like in mid drink when they think about it, huh? And then like just go into the room and see if Ophir's out in their balcony or not.
Yeah, Ophir, you also have a big cup of it. It's a kind of nice, sweet, refreshing kind of drink as well. But yeah.
I think he'd finally come inside and have a drink since Ximena has been kind enough to leave drinks out every day and has been making an effort. So he's probably finally sitting inside with all his papers and shit just pushed off to the side and give her a little nod when she comes in. What is in your fur, young lady?
No,
we don't know each other that well, Ophir.
Moving over, camera shifts from that last statement over to another room where I'm going to say if it's all right with you, DK, what is Quest up to as she's waking up?
Quest's internal clock wakes her up. She assumes relative to the sun. It's kind of hard to tell here, but it's been the same time since she started sleeping in this room. The bed is very comfortable, but she hates being in it, and she's not sure why. She got into it, and something about it felt wrong or made her panic a little bit, so she's been trying to keep herself busy. There's also a ritual to her waking up that she doesn't quite understand, but seems to soothe that anxiety. She wakes up, she makes tea, a big pot of tea, more than enough for herself and a couple of others. She usually lights incense or something like that. She puts on an old episode of MASH on the like cathode ray television that's been put in her room. And she's been sleeping with the door to her room open, just cracked enough so that if anyone wants to enter, they can, in a very literal sort of iteration of what she told everybody when they first got here. And I think she's just stir crazy. There's this weird kind of itch under her skin. It's a very nice room. It's very well appointed, very comfortable, and she wants to get the fuck out of it. She wants anywhere else.
Yeah, you also hear at some points, like even when you're not necessarily tuning the radio in your rooms, which a lot of them tend to be like old, like have to turn the knobs, like each one specifically to the right station and everything. And also occasionally some people like ham radios, you do hear like sounds coming through it of different songs. The one currently on play is being sung by a woman who's saying essentially like if the crier, if the singer, if they who speaks out into the world goes quiet, then life itself will end. There's a lot of like those kinds of lyrics and passionate like themes being done, and it seems to be a duet back and forth between her and another man. But it's a mixture of romance, of politics, and just a sense of like embracing the need to be there, be out in life, be vocal about life. And I imagine there's definitely an element of that song kicking in of kind of getting under the skin for Quest, of like you want to be out of this bed. You don't know why, but it's so uncomfortable.
Powerfully so.
But yes, so waking up at a given morning, did you decide to room with any of your other two companions?
I left an open invitation. I said that my door would be open if anyone wanted to wander in, so I just haven't fully closed my door at any point.
I think Ren had mentioned that we'll likely take up on that offer. And if it's okay, Ren would just kind of scuttle in, also early morning, holding, if the room had a potted plant, or even a plant in a vase, Ren would like have picked it up, put it under their arm, and walked over, like knock first, and then just come in, like, what a lovely plant! Have you seen the plants? What kind of plants does your room have?
Good morning. Oh, I think,
Do you like plants? I like this very much. I wonder why I like it so much.
I like plants. It looks like I have sunflowers, which is just wonderful.
Show me these sunflowers. Let us converse about this bird. Maybe they are a clue.
Maybe, or maybe they're just nice to look at. Maybe both. Maybe both. We won't know until we look.
Yes. There is surely some deeper meaning ascribed to the sunflower you have mentioned. Tall, power, mobility.
And they fight radiation.
How wise.
It's a scientific fact.
How insightful. You may...
Would you like some tea before we get into our investigation here?
Oh, that would be lovely. Thank you very much. So,
Sure.
maybe you are an academic or a healer of some sort if you're familiar with the properties of plants of such.
I don't think so. I think I might have been a fool, actually. I don't know, I have the strangest sense that I regularly did things I should not have, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. I don't think they hurt anybody but me, but I have a very strong sense of bad idea after bad idea.
Fools are not to be taken lightly. They are often the ones leading the parades. They are often the ones that everyone else releases themselves in comparison to. It is the fools who herald in the celebrations, and it is only when the fool stops the revelry can anyone else stop the party as well. They are very critical.
You're very kind, you know that?
I think this is how it was done where I am from. I have a strong feeling this is how it was done.
Well, wherever it comes from, I guess, it's still a lovely thing to say.
No.
Come on, let's get you some tea and we'll go check out the sunflowers.
Yes, let us be fools or let us be learned sages in this moment.
Let us be fools on the way to becoming learned sages.
Yes, there you would notice that there are a couple of different tea varieties that, again, whenever tea has been brought to your room, should you have any sort of interest, again, it feels almost like the thought happens and you're like very shortly thereafter, Lucia would be, again, the person who would come by and they offer it. And there's a couple of different tea bags that have manzanilla in them. And then there's a couple of other ones where it looks like it's almost like coca leaves of some kind are kind of added into, have been like hand packed into small bags for you to be able to add warm water to. Whether you are someone who is partial to, like myself, because it's very useful, an electric kettle of some kind that can just be plugged into the walls, or if you're someone who does happen to like a nice hot pot of tea added, both are available to you, whichever one you would like. But yes, that conversation is happening as we move over to our last vibes and good times. It is Gina playing Antonia. What is Antonia's morning like?
She gets up very, very early, like there's sunrise early and then there's before that, and she's in the before that. She's not really sure what to do here. She is in a room by herself because she prefers to be in a room by, like, she feels that she is used to that. So she is, alone in her room. She puts on all of her little clothes. I'm going to say her death marks are on her little what's it called? Little shawl thing instead of on her specifically. And they're like embroidered all along the edge of her shawl on the fringe. So she puts that on because these seem important, and I feel like she suspects that if she doesn't bring the shawl with them, they'll just show up on some other piece of clothing. That's how I'm going to imagine it. So she'll bring her shawl, and I think each morning she's just been kind of wandering around the halls and trying to like feel out like the space while there's like nobody really in it.
Yeah.
I imagine the staff is like still around even at that at least the skeleton staff at that hour, but she's trying to just get a feel for the space
Yeah.
in the morning.
Why don't here, this would be a nice way to go about it to see how far you get in just wandering around. Roll a d6 for me.
D6. Oh shit. That's 2.
It's a 2. Okay. I will let you choose from the following things, and I will tell you what you discover in your wanderings: sound, smell, body, taste, and vision.
Let's go for sound.
Okay. You get to pick one more.
Sound and smell. That's what we'll do.
Sound and smell. Okay. Let's go with that. Your wanderings around the hotel lead you to find that it's almost like there is the main sort of concierge lobby. Allow a quick thing. There's a concierge lobby where, again, that distinct structure of the almost fountain of souls is consistently present. But now, instead of being on the ceiling, now it's back on ground floor. It seemingly, should you be interested in seeing it, it seems to just move and warp the space intentionally in order to allow you, if you'd like to take a look into it, that is available to you. But as far as sound is concerned, moving around, you do see there is a space that, as you peer into it, there's almost a sense of pure darkness everywhere within it. The kind of black that absorbs all light. But and you can't seem to see anyone inside of it, but sort of appearing almost completely out of nowhere, moving very rhythmically and moving in a manner that suggests someone of great poise, great strength, and great presence. You see an individual who, given the marking on her shoulder, seems to be very much involved with sound, is a woman who I'm just going to avoid having to go spend too much long in descriptions, I'm just going to tell you this is supernatural, otherworldly. This is Tina Turner.
Okay.
For those of you who can guess why I chose Tina Turner, be sad with me. But yes, this is essentially, and talking like Proud Mary kind of performance days, like huge hair, like woman running around beating out people who were like half her age when she was like in her 60s and stuff. So like, ooh, like so much of it. And you see, like, before she notices you, she sings, and it's almost like there's constellations of sound waves that start appearing at different spots in the room itself. She says, "Hey there, darling. How's it going?"
So, it's going.
I take it you're one of the new folks who's sort of moved in here very recently.
Yeah. She really has just been like really small. She's just gonna try to stand up straight. She feels like she should be doing that. Yeah.
Oh, hon, you don't have to stand in decorum for my sake.
I'm just getting a look around. I've not been in many new places in a long time, so it's very exciting, I think.
Oh, well, it's good to have you here. Welcome to what I like to call kind of my humble abode. This is the echo chamber.
So it's very pretty, but it's very dark.
It's intentional. Everybody's memories are a little bit hazy. They're a little bit out of sorts. When you get lost in memories that don't quite make sense to you, it's good to tease out and pull from all of that the kind of stuff you need. And I always found the music and sound let me do that the best. So if you're ever interested, gives like a very big wink. And again, has big like the yellow highlights, like giant, like this is a performer's hairdo. This is definitely like and has that big gregarious smile that just tells you like, oh, I'm here. I'm here for a show when everyone's asleep. Like that kind of energy of just always there, ready to present herself in the best way possible. But she says, if you're ever wanting to try and see if you can pull something to your own back, try fooling around in here. I promise. I don't bite.
It's very kind. She's kind of like shy because the only reference that she has for this are like, you know, like opera performers type like level of performers. So it's like kind of startling, but in a kind of like you know, when you like see something new that's very exciting for the first time, you're like kind of scared of it. like that kind of thing. Like, oh, it's very
I would also imagine there's an element of like, oh, I am a beginner and I just met the god tier version of everything.
yeah. It's like,
Nope,
oh.
nope. It's like I know how to play 3 chords on a guitar. Cool. You're talking to like Joe Satriani or like Eric Clapton or someone where you're like, this is
it's a lot.
This is a lot. Yeah. Just like slowly walks away out of the room. But again, she, as much presence she has, the moment like you don't need her for anything, she just sort of fades back into shadow. But you said that, and what was the other sense that you picked?
Smell. That's what it was.
Smell. You do, again, wandering around, and again, it just seems like it's almost like wings, like of the hotel itself. Like you'll start going down a hallway, and then it emerges into these different spaces, and you find that you start walking down a hallway, then there's just trees and plants and like rows of like different like crops and such everywhere. You find yourself in basically a really strange, almost indoor arboretum. There's any number of smells of sensations here. Like you see flowers of various kinds. You see various vegetables and smells. You'll see spices and such. There's like almost a wind passes by and you smell stuff like cinnamon. You smell nutmeg. You smell like paprika, like all manner of just spices, smells of flowers. And none of them, oddly enough, seem to clash with one another. They always seem to make a combination that is appealing to you. And you see, again, there's another person here who, older sort of woman, seemingly someone roughly, I'd say probably older than this, but looks late 50s, mid 60s kind of age range. And just seemingly is tending to like has a book open, looks like a journal, and is just documenting a lot of the different flowers and such, seemingly like in this intense hyper focus of like, that one's new. I haven't taken a look at that today. And then just sort of looks up and says, oh, hello.
Sorry, I didn't mean to disturb you.
No. No, dear. I get caught up in my own thoughts every now and then. Welcome. Do you have a name?
Antonia, Miss Leland.
Pleasure. My name is Ines. Inez Mejia.
Very lovely.
you.
There you go.
Welcome. Have you never been here before?
No, I got here the other day. It's hard to tell how long anything is.
Days are a bit strange when it comes to many things. Welcome to the Arboretum of Souls.
So she like processes the phrase. Is like it's a very strange phrase. Does it have a purpose, or is it just?
Oh, the purpose is the same as every other place here. It's for memories. For some of us, memories don't quite come in the visual or the touch or even the sound, but sometimes a smell brings you back. It could be a nice stew that a partner has made for you. It could be a very sweet and sour drink that you had on the eve of a festival. It could just be like picks up a very beautiful sort of flower and shows it to you. There is it's a flower that looks like kind of the buds and the main part of it opening up. It almost looks like it's a red and orange kind of crab claw and an inverted crab claw. And it's very beautiful and such. And it almost looks like at some, if you were to turn it over, it's like the beginnings of a dress. And it's like, for some of us, it smells. Smells evoke some of the most primordial of memories for us. And there's so many that I've spent much of my life, both before and after coming here, trying to document a lot of these different things.
Well, I'm glad. I'm very glad.
Well, I'm glad to see someone wander in. Not everyone's very partial to smell is the thing. They think it's just, oh, it's nice or it's bad. And, some of us are a little bit more fine-tuned for how we approach things, or we're a little more particular. The visual does nothing for us. Sound does nothing for us. But a smell means everything. It brings us back to the happiest memories. And also the ones that aren't so happy.
It's true. It's true. Do you mind if I sit here for a while? It's just, I don't think I'm really used to all the plants. I think it's nice.
Yes, of course. Of course. I would like to ask you, Jean, the player.
Yes.
Is there a particular way? I offer you the option, because you are spending more concerted time in here, if there is a way in which you would like to interact with the space using any of your core and attributes, I leave it up to you. I will give you a challenge of 2. Check. Should you pass it, you get 1 resonance.
I think
Which resonance, for those of you, as a reminder, resonance is the currency you need in order to unlock your memories, to have breaks that bring back to the fold. So it's your call. You do not have to do this. It is merely an offer.
No, I don't think so. I think what she will do is she will just kind of like find a nice little like spot, like maybe flatten some grasses down, maybe take her shawl, put it down, try not to take a nap, probably takes like a 5-minute nap anyway. That sort of thing.
You can take a 5-minute nap. I bless you. Bless you if you can actually pull that off. I can't.
Oh, I can. I can take exactly 17-minute naps if that's what I wanted to do.
What are you?
Only skill I have.
Doubtful.
But yeah, that's what she's gonna do. She's gonna take her shawl with all her death marks embroidered on it, just kind of flatten it on a flat piece of grass and just kind of like lie down to try and listen to all the rustling and just that's it.
Yeah, it's a wash of smells, of sensations, of just, it is every bit of the promised benefit that aromatherapy is said to have for people. You have that. There is joy, there is comfort. If Antonia is someone who occasionally gets kind of like anxious or skittish, you know nothing but calm in this space. And again, you look back and you see that if you are not interested in conversation, Ines just sort of carries on. There is a genuine love and passion to the way that she moves through the space. Just every flower, even if it looks like she goes through this massive journal that's got so many field notes in it, and she finds that she's already done it, she always has this look like it's like finding an old friend again. And so you're able to spend the morning there, and it comes to back into it. You find yourself at some point, I would say probably back to your room to eventually sleep or rest. But a short time later, all of you eventually I feel like because of how Jimena acted towards him, I think I'm gonna go with he knocks on the room that Quest and Ren are in first. And you see the tall and professional, yet still oddly approachable presence of Jean-Paul appear. He is dressed in, again, dark black, sort of dark, warm toned, but black, very clearly black skin. Kind of tall. Let's be bold. He has a very almost like purple, veering into magenta sort of professional suit that's on. Man knows his colors, is what I'm saying. It's the kind of thing where, like, on somebody else, looks ridiculous. On this man, looks fine as hell. But he sort of knocks.
Is the door still open?
The
Yeah,
door's still open.
Yeah, I never close that shit.
Perfect.
Quest is like, I gotta be ready to meet my man.
Look, I might make friends, you know?
Right.
Please, come in.
He walks in. Good morning.
Gerente, manager, good morning.
It's good to see you, Ren. It's nice to see that you are both taking to the services quite nicely.
Yes, thank you again for your hospitality. I've been meaning to ask, the molding right up there above the door, is that a particular symbolic thing? Is that custom made for our particular rooms? Are all other rooms like this? What is the meaning behind that molding?
The meaning is I thought it looked pretty.
So beauty may have been a part of our lives.
It sort of carries on, does the thing of like when an adult notices that one person is going off in their own direction and turns attention over to Quest very intentionally. I hate to disturb all of you in your morning ponderings, I suppose we should say, but I was hoping to gather all of you in order to give you a full rundown of what is available to all of you while you are staying here.
Oh, we were just sort of having an early morning tea party. I think we can put this away for now.
Well, there is also food that is going to be available soon, if you would like to partake. It is, I must say, a rather excellent spread, if I do say so myself. I'm rather proud of those services still maintaining even into the afterlife. Well, partial afterlife.
Nourishment, be it of the spiritual kind or the kind that that warms our body, is most welcome.
But the sexual kind as well. And anyways, I hope that you are all finding yourselves well, and I will be certain to get the rest of your companions. And sort of walks off without making any further reference to that comment whatsoever.
Quest is just back and forth between Ren and John, just...
Full service indeed.
Apparently. I mean, there are worse places we could have ended up.
And we are sure this is not the end game. This is indeed the middle. Does that mean it gets better or it gets worse in the best way? Depending which direction you go.
There's only one way to find out. And, I mean, you know, something to die would be an awfully great adventure. We already did the first part, so of course it could happen.
If only we could remember that.
Calling from the hallway, you do hear Jean-Paul, very low but very articulate and clearly saying something to the effect of like, you aren't used to being denied things, are you?
If there is a mountain, we will climb it.
Angela, the GM, is evaluating that statement, Aida.
Aida knows exactly what she said.
Carrying
Ren,
on with
nice
Jean Paul.
coincidence.
Jean Paul carries on and knocks on the door to Antonia next.
Hi, hello.
Good
Do you
morning,
need
dear.
something? Good morning.
Yes, we'll be gathering every one of you and your companions to give you a sense of what is available to all of you here. Though looks at you with curiosity, it seems as though you've already gotten used to some of our good services. You smell lovely, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Is there anything I need to bring or just myself?
Yourself. And should you be interested, a rather hearty appetite.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Of course. Carries on over to Jimena and Ophir's room. Should I even ask which one of you is the one to answer the door? Should I just assume Jimena is just there like, hello?
How dare. She's not that desperate right now. I don't know. Ophir, would you be the type to go and answer the door, like, or hide away?
I think since Jimena has made an effort to like give him space, be nice, he's actually going to probably go and answer the door. Not be particularly social, but be like, ah, yes, it is time to get the door. It's just kind of instinctively.
Good morning, Ophir. If you would kindly follow me, I will be offering you just a quick rundown of the services that may be available to you. That will be, available to you, should you wish to make use of them here at the hotel. And I want to reassure you, there is no cost to any of them. You are paid for in full. You may make use of them with rampant excess and zeal, should you be interested. This is a space for you, and I would like to reassure you, you belong here to make do with whatever you can here.
You said paid for in full.
Mm-hmm.
Who paid?
That would be myself and the rest of the staff here.
He kind of like it gives you a once over, still very suspicious, still not believing a word you're saying, but nods.
Nods and looks at you with, it's a smile that suggests it's understanding, but it's an understanding that comes from, I have lived through some of your pain as well. And I understand the suspicion. It's like, it sucked for me too, but I trust me, I know. And sort of very quickly turns to Jimena, who I assume at this point has noticed Jean-Paul arriving.
Yeah, I think it was like silently, like Jimena was in the bathroom, like deciding to like again, they're fascinated with their tattoos, and so they come out thinking it was like Lucia that was there. So they're like mid like putting their top on, and is about to ask like who is it, you know, and it's like oh, and this immediately just shifts like what brings you to our door?
Oh no,
Professional
town hall.
courtesy. Professional courtesy, as is the nature of my role here.
So you don't just relegate everything else to your staff.
No, it is part of what I have chosen to take on in presiding over the hotel.
They come forward so that they're like, I think it's a subconscious thing that they stand like behind Ophir in a way that's like, I can pull Ophir behind me for not because John Paul gives any kind of danger sensation, but like just like must protect the little one. And they're like, well, I do like it when a captain or other is a little bit more hands-on. You are the captain of this hotel, after all.
That is an apt comparison. I do try my best to be hands-on with all aspects of my life whenever possible.
Ophir, in the middle of this, just ducks out of the door.
Like, hunger meets means of satiating hunger. Like, I'm gonna be out of the way of this. Not good.
So what is this courtesy call?
It is to gather you and the rest of your companions in order to make you fully aware of the services that are available here, and to invite you to breakfast. We have a rather extensive spread available to all of you, should you be interested.
I'm always a little hungry.
Somehow I believe that's not the word you wanted to use there.
I just chose the word that you'd be most comfortable with.
It's good to know you are familiar with the concept of courtesy and boundaries.
When it pleases me.
Focus, self-oriented to a fault. Follow me in due time, dears. And turns around and everyone else gets, so probably everyone else is outside of the doorway too, and has been able to see you being like this with Jean-Paul. Everyone's like,
And I just I don't move immediately because I'm just watching John Paul's backside. Like, I'll at least get this bit stated and close the door behind and follow.
Hate to see him go, but love to watch him leave.
Exactly.
The mountain moves.
I will say, he's a very fine man. Even through the outfit for what's being hidden, he's a very fine man in all regards. He's a very fit and very attractive man. But he carries you through back to his office, which again, now seems to have taken on... Am I going to go with this reference? Yeah, fuck it. I'm going to go with this reference. It looks as though behind him there is an altar of some kind that seemingly has an insignia in sort of a painting above it, where there is a serpentine creature going along the ground, and there is a condor flying in the air, and in the center of it is a nondescript individual, gender indeterminate, just simply walking a path that is between the two of them. But there's an altar, and it looks as though there are small offerings and maybe small little trinkets and gifts that have been set onto it. And there's room for all of you to sit in the office. So, please, be comfortable, all of you.
I do the bisexual seating one
Yes!
up on the armrest because he said be comfortable.
That's fair. Fair.
Ren tries to get a seat closest to Jean Paul, like teacher's pet seat.
It's about to be like, do two of you fight over who gets the closest seat to Jean Paul?
I thought Jimeno was just going to sit on his desk.
I thought Jimeno, for a moment, I went through my head, Jimeno was going to sit on his lap, but that works too. Just do full.
It won't be the only time Jimena's going to be called to the principal's office, right?
Detention.
I haven't created a moody, introspective investigation and exploration of death. I've just created Daddy Simulator. That's what I'm finding.
It's true.
You know what? I'm proud of this. All I need to do is just add a couple of moms into this, and then we have Daddy and Mom Simulator. But anyways, carrying on the actual story. That smile will ruin me. Jean-Paul sits down and he says, so, as I've said before, this place is for you to have free reign to wander now, however you would see fit. I just had to make certain that all of the wings and such were in proper order and such. But you may feel free to use this space as you would like, to attempt to begin peering back through the veil to find the pieces of yourself that you have forgotten. Should you be more inclined to the visual, there is a space for you. Should you be more inclined to taste, there is a space for you. Though I do trust you will be interested in the taste, at the very least, for the good food that we try and prepare for all of you, in a way meaningless though it is for you to consume food. But there is that, there is sound, there is awareness of bodily sensations and such. There's a variety of different methods by which you may choose to investigate your memories. And also, there is the gallery as well. The gallery of memories is available to any one of you to investigate and see other worlds, whether they be fragments of your own or glimpses into places near the end of their existence, or perhaps on the eve of great jubilation. Those are all available to you should any of them be of interest to you. They are more likely to find pieces of yourself of a more significant nature, though they are, to put it bluntly, far more dangerous.
Ophir has been sinking into his seat since the gallery was mentioned and is just not looking up or making eye contact at all.
Interesting. But without great risk, there cannot be great gain.
West has been just kind of unconsciously smiling ever since Jean-Pierre said the word dangerous. It just seems to get just a little bit wider. She's not really sure why, but there's a feeling of kind of delight.
I'm in love with her. I want you to know this.
Mirage the player or Ophir?
Yes.
That's
Correct
the right
answer.
answer.
We're going for.
But yes, again, this is available to all of you should you be interested. And welcome, Hope for TTRPGs. It's an absolute pleasure to have you raiding into us. You're in the middle of our group, a batch of souls that have been denied their desired move into the afterlife, exploring a hotel known as Hotel Nexus, where seemingly they are being offered the chance to investigate other worlds to recover their fragments of memory. So yeah, you came at a cool time. Thanks, buds. It's good to have you here. But yeah, Jean-Paul offers this, and he leaves the floor open. If you have any sort of questions to ask me, you may feel free to do so, and I will answer them to the best of my ability.
I think Jimena has been noticing everybody else's reaction, but because Ophir is their roommate, they see how Ophir reacted, and then if we do deem so to enter the gallery and explore, are we allowed to help others with their paintings?
Yes, of course. We would not ask you to go alone unless you truly did want to go alone, though I would not advise it. Such places are inviting to various degrees. Even upon the brink of ruin, people can become lost in them. There is always the means to escape, but you must always be watchful, attentive, aware of what you will lose in the process should you linger too long.
And do you provide us with expedition gear, or is that provided in the painting? Or I just want to make sure we're not caught off the back foot after all.
You have all the means available to you already through your unique abilities and your tools that I have given you when you first arrived.
They look down at their crossbow and like, so that means I'm fighting. They think in their head. Well, I don't have any immediate desire to go to the gallery. If it does seem to be helpful for others, I don't mind being the captain, going first. And I have nothing to hide. So if anyone's willing to come with me, they can.
Ah, well, sounds dangerous.
Well, it's my life. It should be.
Capitan is willing to walk towards adventure, then I would be a fool to miss out on such adventure.
You're really just diving in.
Yes, unfortunately, I feel like although looking at Jean Paul, they're willing to answer questions, I feel they'll be the type of answers that a teacher gives. Well, we have to come up with our own conclusions.
Regrettably, I do ask of you, as I ask of any other souls who enter this place, to put in some effort as well.
Of course.
I cannot, in a manner of speaking, I cannot do all the work. Though my impression is that you are used to this being the case.
And they just look at you, Ophir, and it's like, you do not have to come if you don't feel comfortable. You and they look at Antonia and they actually feel bad. They don't remember Antonia's name at the moment. So like they have a look like
very...
yeah. And they it's like, no, I'm not that kind of person that just not know people's names. It's like, you could stay with Antonia. Tonya. Perdóname. You could stay with Antonia if you'd like, so that you are not left here alone.
I don't think I'm staying. I can't let you all. You seem like you shouldn't be allowed to run off on your own.
Definitely not.
Doesn't seem like a group that's good to leave unattended.
We are being guided by a captain on an expedition. Loyal lieutenants who are hopefully well versed in navigating a storm. A captain cannot ride a ship. A captain is only as good as the crew behind them. And for myself, I think Quest and I would be fantastic crewmates, and I'm curious to see what our other two companions could one day perhaps offer when we are sailing beyond a calm harbor.
I'm not good at anything other than art, really.
Well, you'll be our chronicler then. That too. Chronographer.
I think I've got a spare notebook somewhere in my room. You can bring it along.
If you're going, sure. You've been nice. I'll try and help.
I think it'll be a lot of help. I think we need a little more caution to balance this out.
You're sounding a lot like JP over here. Looking at Antonia.
I think Antonia is correct. We will indeed bring caution, and it's very balanced and good-natured of you to remind us, and that shows your character and your compassion toward us. But we will have caution and courage hand in hand. Now, is this caution and courage, Capitan, coming before or after our meal?
We should eat. Never go on an adventure on an empty stomach, if possible.
Because I recall a conversation, Gerente, manager, the other day, where you mentioned that eventually nourishment will change for us, that we will not be able to feel nourished the longer we stay here. Yet we have been promised exquisite foods now. Are you saying these exquisite foods won't be perceived the same time later? Or will they simply be denied to us?
They will not be denied. You will never be denied food, comfort, safety here. At least, as best as we can manage. What I am saying is that, having been stopped from moving on, the body begins to decay. And as a result, the first thing that goes is a sensation of being attached to sensation, of remembering what it's like to enjoy. Whether it is feeling of someone else's hand upon your skin, whether it's the feeling of being able to continue on and persevere, whether it is the feeling of nourishment from something.
So perhaps a way to
Well-
combat this is by imbibing in it in excess, lest we not forget the joy and pleasure that consumption brings us.
You may imbibe to your heart's content if such escapes provide you comfort.
Ren has this look on their face like, haha, I've solved it.
Mechanically, so that I may get this across to everyone, instead of doing hunger as a means of just food and nourishment, it will actually represent your character's ability to recall sensation in their body. The actual memories will be taken from you whenever resources are lost. So, should a creature attack you and it not be, should, for example, a creature attacks you, or should someone harm you or take from you, it will not necessarily be a monetary resource. It will be an aspect of, in a way, your soul. It will be an aspect of your ability to feel. And that also is an effect of being here in the hotel. The hotel is only a temporary stopgate. This is something Jean-Paul will in character narrate, but that I want to make emphatically clear to all of you as a GM, that this is the way that I'm going to represent doing hunger in this system, is that it's less about just food. It's more about what are you doing to try and replenish resources in regards to what you need to keep going. So it's food in a sense, but it's a more in the like spiritual and like emotional sense of food. And then elements that get into aspects of you don't want to continue on anymore, those will be more targeted in regards to despair towards your will. Because for those who are unfamiliar with the system, there are different vitality pools that each can represent something very terrible happening to the players when they are emptied out. Will, when it's emptied out, slowly begins to accumulate stagnation. Stagnation is the ultimate endpoint of any wanderer in this system, where they stop wanting to figure out what happened. They accept that they don't want to go on anymore. They are content with being here. And as far as it regards the hotel, you become someone who is in a way unrequited. You no longer wish to know anymore. It's a frightening fate to find because it's very gradual and it feels extremely natural. There is no sense of like a horrible thing has happened to you. There's no point. This is all conveyed to you sort of in character. To stop hitting you. This is all conveyed in character, but out of character, this is what I want to, from a top-down level, above table, make sure that you all know that that's sort of how I'm going to represent hunger, is that it's sort of an alternative to just hitting you. It'll be like, no, you lost a memory, or you lost you have the memory there, but it doesn't mean anything. There's no attachment to it anymore. So it'll be like, I'm more hungry. What does that actually mean? It's like, no, you can still have the taste of like tamales, freshly steamed, made for you right there, been worked on for like hours and days. The taste just means nothing to you. Which is, I'm going to say, as a person, hurts more to imagine than just being hungry. Because if someone told me that I could never enjoy tamales again, then I'm gonna cry just from that thought alone.
Valid.
But you are free to decide what your next course of action is. If you would like to sit down to eat, John Paul is happy to escort you over to your dining area. That works for everybody.
Yeah, I think if everybody seems like they're happy to want to eat first, we'll do that because Ren made a very valid suggestion.
Ophir is just following Humana at this point. In a super healthy way.
It's not going to be Ren. It's probably going to be Ophir that kills me. And then Antonia is just, while I'm on the ground sad, just going to be like, doink, with a knife, emotionally.
I imagine you're just going to be like on the ground sobbing, and all of us are going to come in and just start beating you.
It's the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure
Eat
meme.
that, yeah.
Beating the guy on the ground. But yes, you go into a spot that is it's somewhere between a straight up like a grand hall, a banquet room, and just a big ass living room. Like kitchen area. There's long tables here. There's a variety of different guests, but there's also like a variety of different like circular tables where again you see a variety of different guests who've been present here. And one of them being the familiar like older gentleman who's just smoking a cigar just sort of in the corner. Very salt and pepper kind of hair. Very has old boys club kind of energy to him, but is still like just like stay away. But seemingly is just watching all of you with kind of curiosity, just out of corner of his eye. And there are a variety of other individuals, but there is a fantastic spread here. So let's see, what do we go with this time? Me and my 5-page long food document that I've made specifically. Yeah, let's go with this. So there is a kind of chicken stew that's been made with a combination of chicken, beef, and pork. It's been stewed in tomato-based sauce with roasted seeds and peppers. For anyone curious, yes, it's pepián de pollo. Uh, there are what look to be kind of like almost like flattened, hollowed out bits of like fried tortillas. It looks as though they've had beans, rice, and a couple of other sauces on top of it. And then another version that's more flatter, more ovular, and oval shaped. Ovular, I feel like gets somewhere else. Oval shaped that it looks almost like how someone's sandal might be laid out, but also filled with a similar spread of different things inside of it. It looks as though there's this really exceptionally spicy, fatty sort of meat dish that looks like it's got things like pig head, liver. It's been marinated in vinegar, soy sauce, calamansi juice, and a lot of chili peppers. And it looks as though there's this really crusty bread, like the kind of thing where like most people associate, I would imagine like baguettes or the kind of thing where like you touch it and like you pull on it. It's like that. It's not that. It's much bigger. And you start, if you clench down on it, it's like so much crust into it. And there's this little bit of it almost looks like a kind of a spicy tomato-based salsa that has kind of spicy pepper and herb and mixed into it and mixed in as well with peeled and seeded tomatoes to act as sort of a spread for the bread. For anyone curious, yes, it's matraqueta and it's yahua. Anyways, there's a huge spread here. There's a bunch of different drinks here. There's a random bits of like soda and such uh that are here. There's a like almost like a 2 liter bottle of a soda that's like a golden kind of color to it as well. And there's a lot of different things here. And there's someone who's kind of running around with an energy that is fascinating to just even try and imagine, let alone see. Uh, you catch that her name is Judy. Has a big like head chef, almost Gordon Ramsay kind of vibe, but if Gordon Ramsay had a soul and was less of a dick. Very clearly Filipina. I will mention who the references to the cast during break. Uh, and just running around and just making sure everyone has food and is happy and content and just seems very approachable, but also has this energy of like if someone starts trying to give crap about the food, immediately is like, okay, what is the problem?
I think Quest literally raises her hands to get this woman's attention from wherever she's seated or standing. Just trying to flag her down without like interrupting her path.
How tall is Quest, by the way?
She is 5'6". She is not big at all.
Yeah, this woman is like 5'2", has the energy of a 6'3" woman.
Why are you at me like this?
How is she still taller than I am? What is this?
By presence or by actual physical height?
Actual physical height.
No, she comes over and she's like, yes, dear. Yes.
Yeah, excuse me, ma'am. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Everything looks wonderful. I have this this craving, and I was wondering if maybe you could help me satisfy it.
Yes, what can I work on? What is it? What is it?
Do you think that I could just get like a full stack of blueberry pancakes and a big glass of Ovaltine?
Yes, I can very easily provide that. Give me but a moment.
Thank you.
And like calls over someone, like mentions something, speaking in Tagalog, just randomly to someone, and then just comes back, and you see immediately has already acquired within the span of like a couple of minutes, just a fresh stack of like blueberry pancakes to the degree that like you're seeing distinctly all the blueberries like stuck throughout the batter and everything. Nice, very tall glass of Ovaltine. Just sort of like, do you need anything else?
No, this is perfect. Thank you. This is exactly what I wanted.
Are you a smother it in butter kind of person, or are you a smother it in syrup and jams kind of person?
Why not both?
I like you. Just carries off. And again, has that energy of like when walking, I walk a decent pace as a 6 foot tall person. This person walks about 10 of my, every 10 of their movements equals about one of mine, and they are frequently going faster than me.
Why are you
Kind of
atting
vibe.
me like this?
When you're this close,
Because
when you're this
I,
close to the
Amazing.
ground, you gotta walk like you're late for a murder trial. You never know.
Uh-huh.
Everybody's faster than us.
Ophir is eating everything in front of him with as like the most gusto you've seen like this little twink have. They are very excited to have a lot of food.
no, and it is for this moment, it is the best thing you have ever tasted. It's very strange for Ophir in particular. It's so excessive, but it's also never you never have the problem, as I'm sure many of you have had when you've eaten too much of a good thing, where your stomach is like, this hurts. Like, this physically hurts me to have eaten this much, but I don't care because it's so good. And then the next morning, you're like, I care now that I have eaten this much. I very much care. But you never have that sensation. Your body just feels perfectly content in terms of food. And there's a sense that should you wish to interact with anyone else, that will be a thing you can do. But for this moment, before you make your journey into the gallery, you have a chance to just be content with good food, good company, and the promise of recovering things that have been lost to all of you. And I think that's an appropriate time for us to take a break. So we'll be back in about 10 minutes, everybody, and continue session 2 of moving into very likely our first limbo. And if you want to know what that is, stay tuned for after the break.
It's a
'Cause why
pole
wouldn't you?
game.
Yes. So we'll see you very shortly, everybody. Hello there, lovelies. It's good to be back and to have you all here with us for the second half of Afterlife Nexus. We're here with our fantastic group of wanderers/travelers who have just sat down to a rather impressive spread as facilitated by one Judy, who is a reference to the real-life Filipino food blogger and restaurateur Judy Ann Santos. Because Filipino rep, because I'm a Filipino player, therefore I must learn. I must get good in regards to references and such, solely for her benefit.
Salamat. It's the only word I know.
But with that being the case, the group, again, we come back into, it's this fantastic spread. If there is a dish that is fatty and heavy and hearty, it tastes sumptuous. If there is a dish that hits with spice, it hits at that right level of this hurts, but in the best way possible. And if there is a crustiness to the bread that is beyond crustiness, it goes even further beyond the crustiness. It is the bread that you are eating. It is fantastic. It is wonderful. And again, it is uninterrupted unless folks seek out anyone. There is an occasional look, I will say, towards Ophir in particular from the older gentleman who is smoking a cigar in the corner. Just casually, just every now and then. But seems to go back to his current company that seems to be a variety of different men and women who are like entertained by his presence. And again, very charismatic, very big kind of personality. But there's a variety of other guests here as well, should you wish to interact. But if none of you have any interest in that and would like to proceed to the gallery of memories, you may do so.
Big and charismatic, you say. Not to be all Mako Sailor Moon, but reminds me of my ex-boyfriend.
Oh no.
Good thing
I'm
it's
sorry.
not raining right now.
I swear to God, if I need be, I will implement the it's terrible weather for rain, isn't it? Line. I will find a way to implement it throughout these sessions, and I will hurt all of you. Not make me implement this choice.
Making a note. Roy Mustang. Rain. Mandatory.
Mandatory
Oh,
Roy
is it?
Mustang.
When I write it, it's canon. I have written it.
Here.
Me instant transmissions over erases it. Can't tell me nothing. By the way, hug. instant transmissions back. Oh, fear.
Ophir is kind of glancing at this guy once he's noticed that he keeps looking at him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in the same kind of way that he had initially been giving Humana those looks of like, this is kind of a familiar, there's something familiar in this. And part of me is very about it, but also part of me is kind of like, you know, uh, for those just listening, that was me twirling my hair and looking puppy eyed at the camera. Um, but I don't think he is going to approach because he's still just kind of at Jimena's side and just sort of waiting for her to give the word. But he definitely has noticed and like give a couple anxious glances over before returning to the, if there are tamales here, he will gladly eat those because they remind him of the tamale lady that he used to trade art
Aw.
with for some tamales on the street.
Himena has been like not realizing that we're all just eating perfectly, like we're not gonna have issues with food. It's like just like how is Ophir's spice level? Like, and then just like casually putting like try this dish, a little bit spicier and everything. Not to
Uh-huh.
like, troll them or anything, but like I think
Yeah,
you
yeah.
need to have a little more spice in your life, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um,
He
yeah.
is a pale ass white boy. Um, so he will eat it, but you'll see him like kind of choke up on it and just be like, it's good. And then keep eating it, even though you can tell he's having trouble with the spice.
There, as if on cue, Judy does appear right next to you and has a very tall glass of what appears to be a rice drink that is flavored with like sugar and cinnamon. It's horchata for those who know what that is.
Thank
But
God. Was...
yeah,
I want horchata so much.
so do I. Seattle does
Real
not have good
horchata. Yeah.
horchata. I will.
No,
Seattle has
it
no good
does.
Spanish food. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
It doesn't.
I'm aware. Listen, all of you. I'm aware. I'm
Yeah, yeah.
aware where I've chosen to live to be with my partner. I'm
I'm so
aware.
sorry. I'm in Olympia, just south of Seattle, and there's no good food here. There's one good taco truck. That's it.
I will say there's good Ethiopian food, but food tangent aside,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, there Judy does appear and like offers us. She again within this particular area, Judy seems to have like a unnatural level of control over how it operates. And I would say Antonia would be the only one to pick up that like it seems to be the very same way that Inez and the individual who is in charge of the echo chamber seem to have it. It's almost like for their wing being the ones who are currently like managing that space, it is subject sort of to their will, their organization, their machinations. But it's up to you.
Yeah, I don't think because we're on mission now, like Jimenez being very professional, it's not going to go and flirt. They do try to clock where the Minotaur is just to see if the Minotaur's around, but
I mean, he
otherwise,
is.
just yeah. So it's like next time, um, and I think allows everybody to eat, but like right when it's like close to thinking, all right, we've had enough, even though it feels like we can keep going and going and going. It's like, so is everybody comfortable? Do you need to? Some people like to know their roles, or is everybody? And they kind of look at you, Quest, like you said you like danger. Are you a fighter type?
Not intentionally, I don't think. Um, I think I'm more the tallest ride in the world kind of danger type.
Hmm. I don't know what that means exactly, but I feel
Um,
like I should.
I like being up high, real high.
Hmm.
The higher the better.
Ah, so you could be our watchman.
If you like.
Yeah. And of course, Sophia is going to be our chronicler cartographer. Um, Antonia will be our, and they're like happy when they felt like, yes, I remembered your name this time. Will be our sensible person. That's usually was my right hand. And they like try to remember the name of the right hand, and obviously they can't. And like, and Ren. They're like thinking like they smile at you, Ren. It's like you'll be, if we need be, a distraction.
I can command attention when it isn't required.
Yes. Good. And I think you also are a good lookout. You seem to be very attentive. And I, of course, will lead since we're going into something that is mine, I guess. And I will do my best to keep us all safe, of course. So, they'll raise their drink, and I think they have a aguas fresa, because like nice, cool, and refreshing. It's like to toast for a good journey ahead.
Ren absolutely like gets up and like tries to be like spill a little bit of your drink a bit as well, cheer, like over the top.
Ophir raises his mostly empty horchata and probably gets a little bit of your drink that's spilled into his, and he kind of just like looks at it and then drinks it anyways.
Quest raises her third glass of Ovaltine in solidarity.
What is Antonia's drink? I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that. What is Antonia's drink?
Man, I haven't even thought about it. I'm guessing it's a very simple, like, black tea. Being very simple about this.
Ren's drink would have been the yellow gold color fizzy drink.
Yes. For those of
All
you
I
who
can
don't know
think
what
of
that
is
is,
Inca Cola.
It's Inca Cola.
yeah, it's
Yes!
Inca Cola. It's
I've had it
Inca Cola.
recently.
For those of you who don't know what that is, it's a kind of sweet drink that I've seen it mostly in like
Peruvian?
Bolivian and like it's in like Hispanic and Latino markets, but like I associate it the most with Bolivian markets because that's where my family would get it because it's the best soda. Don't at me. It is the best soda. No one can beat this aside from maybe ginger ales, but that's because my constitution is perpetually at like -3. So I need ginger ale to keep my stomach at stability. Why must you curse me with flesh that is weak? Anyways, carrying on, you are able to head off towards the direction of the gallery. I will say once again, like even in the midst of the toast, the older fellow who's again was conversing with other folks just seems to raise a toast to all of you as well, like almost in like solidarity to like wish you well. And you are able to head off to the gallery.
Oh, before we forget, we must also toast to our hosts and all that which supports us. And Ren will just quickly step back, give like an apologetic look to Judy, and just tip the top of their glass a bit onto the floor. Let it splash. And then resumes drinking to the toast.
Judy has the face of the conflict
waste.
in motion of like, I appreciate the sentiment, but also you have made more work for me. I think there's just a passing look of Judy looking at Ophir. I'm like, you understand this, right?
Yeah, Ophir is just like, why did you pour that on the floor? It's wasting food. And just looks at Judy with the same like,
I'm suddenly thinking of that shitpost meme of like, what's it? Batman and Iron Man like throwing money at each other, and Peter Parker's like underneath. So it's like pouring the drink on the floor, and Ophir's just like, like underneath.
yeah.
Also,
That's a waste. No.
As you're moving over to the gallery, there's a one last question of poking Quest of being like from Judy of, would you like me to keep Ovaltine on stock for you, dear?
I would absolutely love that. That would be so kind of you.
I will make sure that we have it in stock, and I hope your appetite is as adventurous, or at least becomes as adventurous as I've come to understand you are.
Thank you for thinking of me. And it's a pleasure to eat your food.
Food is it's nourishment, it's comfort, it's sustainability for the spirit. And also, if you would like me to make any other concessions in regards to the food, I can adjust the recipes to ensure that should you have any sort of difficulties, personal or constitutional, I would be happy to adjust them to better fit you.
No, not at all. I think I'm healthy as a horse. I just it reminds me of home, I think. It's had a real strong wave of something. You know, the only thing in the whole world that I wanted. So, thank you.
Of course. So, as we move over to the gallery, I would like to note as a free thing for all of my players, you all gain 1 resonance. You are free to consider and incorporate as you wish for your characters reacting to the scenes, what in particular your characters start to remember. I like to think from how the way the text treats it, that resonance builds up to a full break. Fragments are a way of getting a full-on break happening all at once. But I like to think of resonance as like pieces, like puzzle pieces to a full memory. So you can feel free to think of it however you would like to what your character starts to remember. Because I feel like that line from Quest, it feels appropriate to just, you know what, let's just give you all one. Because it feels like the kind of thing that all of you would have something coming back from that. But as you walk into the gallery, you see that various portraits and installations here have changed. Seemingly, sometimes by the minute, the whole portraits are changing entirely. But you see that looking at some of them, Jean-Paul is present as well. Says, welcome. Since your arrival, we have had a variety of new paintings arrive. You are welcome to explore any of them should you see fit.
And Gerente, manager, when you mentioned that people feel a pull to some of these images, these beautiful images, of course, do you mean in the physiological sense? As in, perhaps we should tie ropes to Jimena's waist and simply be prepared to pull back in the physiological sense?
It's merely a feeling. Nothing more, nothing less. If you are someone who is inclined to deny your feelings and the actions that would come from them, perhaps it will mean nothing to you. But for those to whom feeling acts as dominion over their senses, it will mean everything. It is your call.
Thank you, Gerente. In that case, Jimena, Capitan, in the spiritual sense, what would be the things to pull you back? What is your anchor?
Funny enough, I believe one of my marks is an 8. Uh, hmm. That is a good question, and I feel like oddly enough, from frying pan into the fire, we're going into one danger. A way to pull me back is to know that there's some danger at home. And for the most part, this is our home until further notice.
Danger to your current home. Danger perhaps to denizens that you have high emotions for at the home.
Yes.
Ophir starts to like duck behind Jimena.
Immediately she's just thinking of Lucia. It's like, yeah, I care about the one that takes care of us.
Yeah. Like Ren would explain, like perhaps in the moment we will sound convincing as if something harmful will come to them that requires your attention.
I can see that, yes. I wish I could give more, but I'm sure as we all understand, our memories are fuzzy.
Antonia and Quest. There is a variety of portraits as you're moving through the space. Because again, it's like a never-ending gallery of just various like images, portraits. Some of them look like they're just snapshot photographs taken by like the most perfect camera. Like we're talking like high-end deal. Like I've spent like 800, however much freaking high-end camera costs, like several $100s on this sort of one, the stand and everything. And then other ones are like a beautifully like hand-painted sort of portrait. But you see each of you the following, which I will let you know is basically here are the options that are at the start available to you for limbos. Which limbos, again, for viewers' benefit, they are a sort of interdimensional microcosm of another world. They are meant to represent a place where fragments of our characters' memories are hidden, where they are able to, at any given time, moving through the space, name a fragment that they see amidst everything, and then can pull themselves back out of that limbo along with everyone else. But should they name a fragment, that's a moment where they basically mechanically and narratively just pass out, because the sensation of having the memory come back from the fragment is overwhelming. But Antonia, I'll say here are the ones that you notice. You notice the following. Number 1, Gothic architecture lining streets of I'd say the best real life reference is the tight quarter kind of streets of like Copenhagen. And the architecture seems to just be different swatches pulled from like blacks, deep purples, the kind of like deep blues that start ranging into the range of black, light reds and oranges, and pops of yellow from flowers. And there's even through here, you shouldn't be able to hear it, but you hear the sound of like a creature just going like echoing down the streets. Think very Bloodborne kind of streets. That's the first one. The next one, you see flying islands divided into regions of classical elements: fire, water, earth, and wind. You see the land that exists beneath these floating islands divided into sections of light and shadow, seemingly being eclipsed slowly but surely. You see an island in which a massive tree grows out of the center of it, very akin to, think, the design of Yggdrasil, the life tree. And then you see a festive party going on here. It's Times Square. It's New York City, baby. There's just fireworks going off in the air. The streets are filled with people. There's a lot of celebrating going on here. Those are the ones that you see. Quest. You see it's very like Roman inspired kind of architecture, but it's almost like a massive set of buildings, like of a singular almost domain, stairs rising up high with various sections. You're hearing the cries of dragons, of various creatures in conflict with soldiers wielding swords and shields, of a place that is on the eve of an attack. You see another painting where it's a very nondescript woman, maybe teenage years at best, just running through a facility. The facility seems modern, like relative to us, maybe a bit more advanced, and seemingly has a strange sci-fi like contraption in her hands, and every now and then fires the contraption at a wall. A tear in the wall occurs. She jumps through it and then ends up somewhere else.
Got some real
And
gamers in here.
yes. And you see two
Nerds.
more nerds, all of you. You see what looks to be a lot of very worried women and men, and a lot of other folks who it's very clear they've been working a lot of hours in a factory. But they look like they're stuck in it and they can't seem to get out. And the last one you see, it looks like a bay area, maybe like a coastal town of some kind. And high up on the cliff faces, or on the edges of them, is a lighthouse. I know I just threw a lot of details at everyone, so I will review it very slowly and so very slowly but surely. And you can choose whichever one you want to go through from here. You have the Gothic City District, the area of floating islands, the Life Tree Island, New York City on the eve of New Year's Eve. Very like Roman Catholic inspired rising edifice and domain under attack by dragons. A modern facility with an individual running with a interdimensional contraption of a portal-like nature. A factory with various individuals seemingly unable to get out of it, and a coastal town with a lighthouse on the cliff's edge.
I mean, they all sound fantastic.
Quest looks at the painting that has the lighthouse in it, and then looks at Antonia, and then looks back at the lighthouse, and looks back at Antonia, and knows that there's something about her is familiar, although she doesn't seem. We can't possibly have known each other. Just sort of based on how time works outside of the hotel. So I think she kind of has a moment of trying to place and knowing that she's not going to get anything there, but does kind of turn fully to Antonia and say, so if you had to guess, where do you think we would find a pirate's memories?
Third island, I would imagine, yes. Or coast, or...
I think probably coast, right? We might be able to find a boat, or I don't know anything about pirates really. Actually, I think they call themselves corsairs. I don't know anything about them except that they operate on water. So, if you or anyone else has any more expertise, I'm happy to defer.
You're in luck. We have somebody here to interview.
Mina, does this... And I will just kind of gesture widely toward the painting with the lighthouse and the bay in it, and sort of struggle for what I'm trying to say, and just end up with, does this do anything for you? This one?
I think before Jimena says anything, Ophir, in spite of himself, despite not wanting to be here, has been inspecting all of the paintings like with fascination, and just goes, I do think that the stroke marks on this one are actually quite impeccable.
I think that kind of like they look at Ophir and they have a general appreciation of art, but they wouldn't know obviously details. And they just kind of give a nod, like as if they know exactly what Ophir's talking about. Just to, And it's like I feel like I crashed a lighthouse once, or was that a dream? But as strange as it may be, the floating ones kind of call to me, and their shoulder blades kind of itch a little bit, and they don't know why necessarily. Um, but hmm, I am willing to go into any, even if it's not quite mine. I will still lead.
Start somewhere, yes.
Yeah, I'm happy to follow you. You
Look
on
at
floating
Ren.
islands?
Follow.
Kapitan mi kapitan.
All right, let's go to the floating islands.
As you push through, like there's kind of a pause where Jean-Paul sort of like sees where you're heading over. He says, "Be prepared that this experience may be alarming at first," and demonstrates to like move your hand into the painting itself. Do you go through? Do all of you go in?
Yeah.
I offer my hand to Ophir first.
Definitely takes it.
Gives a gentle squeeze before giving a whole firm holding, and then yeah, um, either I go first or it's like two of us like touching it at the same time. We'll touch the painting.
Okay. The moment all of you put your hands to try and move through the painting, just sort of like get pulled in very suddenly, and you all find yourselves in the midst of all of it, falling through the air, high above. Like we're talking like airplane levels above the ground.
Quest
And
immediately begins laughing in delight. Immediately.
Immediately just grabs full on to Jimena, just like
Jimena's trying to like, all right, try to go into proper dive mode, hopefully, and hope for water.
Ren is like, is this a dream? Are we meant to imagine that we are birds and we can suddenly fly? Does our will manifest here? I'm a bird. My bird.
I'm a bird, not at this moment. But you do all have a sudden, like, loud funk noise as something catches you.
Mm.
And you look down and you notice you're. My best reference here is think the kind of like resting spot on the back of Appa from Avatar: The Last Airbender. You're on basically one of those, but you look and you see it's a giant ass mechanical techno organic condor that is currently holding all of you. And holding the reins of said massive mechanical bird is a bird person
hell yeah.
who if you've ever played Legend of Zelda, Wind Waker, or the most recent ones, and you know the Rito, basically
love the
a bird
Rito.
human. Yeah, it's a bird. It's basically a Rito, just like right there. Like, you all okay? Wasn't expecting to take a route here and catch people. You all right?
Yes.
Ophir's eyes squeezed shut, still just clinging onto Jimena, not saying anything, not opening his eyes, just
I think we're shaken, but no broken bones. Like, and as like Jimena's trying to like feel for their body without shaking Ophir off quite yet.
Apologies for dropping in on you like this. May we have passage on your magnificent ride?
Yes. I kind of don't really want to let you fall to your death anyways, so I'm gonna start with that. But when I try and find a rest stop to try
What
and
is
like
What is this strange contraption we're on? Is it a flying boat?
Bird. This is Marty.
Hi,
They
Marty.
knock on the surface it's a very hardy bird.
Makes big ass bird noise just squawking at you, but it also has a mechanical tinge to it. So
Love him. Your Honor, I love him.
Marty already confirmed best NPC already.
100%.
Doesn't talk is awesome.
And you, gracious pilot, who might you be?
I'm Miriam. You can call me Meaty.
Meaty, thank you again for catching us.
Yeah. Why don't I? It's still having a look of I didn't think this was gonna be my day. Why don't I just drop you off at a rest spot? Maybe I can get someone else to bring you wherever you're from.
Well,
Again, looking at you all, I don't know what this is.
it would be helpful if we know where are we? What airs are we in?
You're in the sky? I suppose that's the best kind of answer I can give you. I'll start with
Well, if
that.
you're flying, then there's usually if we were sailing, we'd be on the so and so seas. Is this so and so airs? Are we?
You're in the sky space between a bunch of different places. You want me to give you a rundown of the places?
I think I look at
I kind of need to
Ren.
know what is the extent. Yeah,
I
it's
look
just
at him maybe
it's very
you
much
could be
this is
better.
yeah, it's definitely that kind of conversation where no, I mean this. No, I get what you mean. It's no, I don't think you do. It's just two people talking past each other for a good 5 minutes, I will say.
Yeah.
Medium does not know what you mean, because for him in this world, this is just home. And he's do you what?
Who else is in your home? Are there many like you? Are there any like us?
Weirdo travelers? Yeah, you're kind of the part and parcel of the whole world.
Since I'm getting the sense that he's not going to be super useful at this rate, is there anything that I can see out off the side of this that's distinguishable, anything that looks like a major landmark or anything?
You do see that there are other floating islands, but not it looks as though I had to pull up my other world doc for this because full disclosure, all of these are worlds I've created, except for the obvious video game reference ones. There seem to be in the cardinal directions 4 distinct larger land masses of islands, but in between them, on a constant rotation in patterns indiscernible to unless you've tried to be a cartographer of the sky, there are various other small islands in between. And it looks as though in the far off distance, you can see just a bunch of different other riders with birds of varying different sizes. You do see one that is I know we got a lot of 5e people here, so I'm going to go with gargantuan sized birds. You are on a huge bird. There are gargantuan sized rider birds around here. And far off in the distance, I'll say for Antonia, you do happen to spot that a couple of them do start dive bombing one of the other ones.
Oh, I don't like that.
Yep, nope.
No. Gotta keep that to myself for a hot second while everybody gets their bearings.
Yep. I just keep patting Ophir it's okay. It's okay. We are safe now.
But yeah.
Quest, is this high enough for you? Or have you known higher heights?
I think I could go higher, but this is pretty good. Not falling anymore is also pretty good.
I will use this description because I don't get to use it very often, but Miriam has the look as though they are the only person who knows what's about to happen on the Titanic. Of just what is going on? Why are all of you just like this and or kind of okay with this? I'm gonna just
I think Quest sees Miriam's face, and almost as if like a Winter Soldier switch has been flipped, sort of goes, "Did you know that the highest peaks in all of the world are over 8,000 meters? It's about like roughly the actually about this cruising height."
you you want to fly around the skies too often? Don't normally get folks randomly citing little bits about some of the mountains. Hell, I've lived mostly up here ever since the islands went off, and I haven't been down below in a while.
Well, I don't have a lovely bird like yours. I think I think where I'm from, yeah, I'm pretty sure you have to climb to get up there. This is
You,
this is a lot easier and more fun, I think. Well, it's at least easier.
I've never been this high, but it is kind of thrilling.
just Miriam looking over at Ophir. Is Ophir still just in full like fetal position right next to Jimena?
I don't think he's let go. He's probably opened his eyes at this point, but is still clinging and is just like, I've been on the 4th floor of a museum and the 6th floor of a hotel, and that's it.
Pat, pat, pat.
Like, see him. It's like, all right, Marty. Uh, ease on down, and just it's a bit of a sharp left and takes a couple of people by surprise, maybe. But you land at one of these like smaller islands. It's roughly the size of what like a road stop would be. And you see that there's like one or two rough shelters that have been built there. But on the outside of these shelters, you see that there are beautiful, and I mean gorgeous murals that have been painted along the outside of this shelter. And it's not just like random images, it almost looks like people have been trying to document history here through the use of painting on the mural.
Ophir suddenly, eyes open, peeking over Jimena's shoulder, still clinging, but just like,
All right, I think we don't have air legs since we're all sitting, so we should be good to go. Come on. Ophir and like tries to like help them get up because like they've been sitting this entire time.
mm-hmm.
As like to help slide off, and they're not as graceful as they want to be with another human attached to them, but like tries to slide off the bird. I'm like, okay, look, solid ground, murals, like just inadvertently acting like treating them a little bit like a child, but just like that's a good focus point.
It works. He just kind of clings onto your arm at this point and is very easily distracted because he wants to be distracted by the murals.
So
No,
who should we talk to here? Like asking Midi.
Um, I mean, this is sort of just a rest stop. I can go inside and see if there's anyone there and pass you along depending on where you'd like to go. Some of this might just come down to how you would like to investigate this place, I suppose, or if you want to take a look at the murals to see if anyone's left you a message of some kind. But it really does come down to what you're interested in.
I think that's a good starting point, but talking to someone would help. And they turn to Quest. You seem a little bit more of an explorer type on land. I am more of the sea nature, obviously.
Well, Ophir, I want to take a look at those murals too. Sort of just, I just want to see them. I just want to see them up close. But if they can tell us anything, or if people do leave messages there, maybe there is something here for Jimena.
Ophir is going to start like getting out paper, hands shaky still, but will finally detach themselves from Jimena and like go and start doing quick sketches of the murals just as a like, damn, this is cool. But also just like trying to document down what it is, because he has nothing else that he can be useful for. But he's looking them over and very shakily sketching them down and looking them over with Quest, it sounds like.
Oh, fear. Do you have something either? Do you have? Let me put it to you this way. I'll offer you the chance to find more information using whatever set of core and attribute you would like for a challenge 2 check, doing sketches of the mural to see if something in the mural reacts to you.
Sure, why not?
Okay. So choose something that you feel is most appropriate. I'm willing to hear the argument for pretty much anything, but I do need an argument for it.
Okay. And remind me which of these stats I'm picking from.
So you choose from your cores, so between body,
Cores.
mind, and soul.
Okay.
So cores, and then you pick an attribute. The total within those combined will equal your dice pool to roll for the check.
Combined.
And
gotcha.
yes. And Quest, I would also offer you the same, since you two are the ones going for that. But and while you two are interested in looking for that, make a justification whichever set, core, and attribute you want to use. But Antonia and Ren, what are you doing in the midst of this? Because Jimena seems to be, if I have this right, looking around or looking for someone to talk to. Do I have that right, Jimena? Okay. Antonia and Ren, what are you doing in that moment?
I am concerned about these dive bombing bird thingies, so I'm gonna keep a lookout to see if any of them get close for a measure of close. I want to see if there's any of them approaching. I just want to keep an eye out for that.
I would say, do you have something in mind and percept? Or do you have something in mind that you feel would be useful for investigating this?
Let me go back up. I feel like going all the way up. Percept. I think it would just be percept because
okay.
I'm just trying to perceive.
Okay.
Let's
what
see.
do your keen watchkeeper eyes notice?
Okay, let's see. So I have 3 in mind and I have 1 in percept, so that's 4 d6,
Yep.
right?
So roll 4. You're looking to get at least 2 successes, 4 and above. Ren, I'll get to you in just a moment for whatever you're doing, but Ophir, what do you have for your roll?
I am going also for percept because at this point he is just trying to visually get stuff down. It's just instinctive. He's not here for himself. He doesn't think.
Okay.
And I got let's see, mind is 4, percept is 2.
So you have 6 dice to roll with. A very nice pool to work with. You're looking for at least 2 successes out of that. And Quest, what are you doing? Are you doing the same thing of trying to perceive? Are you looking around, doing something more physical? What is your method of trying to look at all of this?
I want to understand what I'm seeing. I want to so I think, is it soul understand? Is that what it is?
Yes, soul understand. Use of compassion and empathy. This would be much more feelings-based sort of intuition, I think is appropriate way if I'm understanding your intent correctly. Okay, so let's go with soul understand. Use of compassion and empathy. So this is actually determining what people might have had in mind as they were doing this. Okay. And Antonia, did you roll for yours as well?
Did. I got 3 successes on that. 3
okay,
that are
so
4 above.
your check will go through. Okay, so that is a success. Ophir, what did you get?
I got 5 successes.
That is great. You definitely notice a lot of details. Quest, what did you get?
I got 7 successes.
Jeez.
Soul is my best one.
Yeah. Soul is I
Nice.
put everything in here. And Ren, what are you doing in the midst of this? Are you just with Jimena going inside trying to look around, or what are you? Because I want to make sure I'm paying attention
Yeah.
to much
Um,
attention.
Ren wanted to thank Marty the noble steed for their wonderful flying, and Ren is also wanting to be very gracious to to
Medium.
to Miri as well for the rescue, and hopes that they will encounter them again. And I guess looks around, kind of enjoys the way the air might be a little thin up here since they are. I feel like they are very high up. I'm not sure what the air quality is like, but would start expressing some curiosity towards what Jimena is looking at.
I would say for you and Jimena, you would be able to walk into the building and you would see that there are a variety of different folks here. A little bit, some of them, one appears to have like a full-on glaive that they have like unattention, just watching a few other folks who are sitting at a table eating what appear to be some kinds of snacks. It looks as though they're kind of like rounds of fried potatoes. It looks like there's a bit of rice, there's some fried egg, and then it looks like someone behind a counter has been in the midst of like pounding down and flattening out a flank steak and in the midst of about to fry it. Like you kind of caught them in the middle of making food. And so that is happening for you two. And again, the one, uh, you're welcome, Diana. The one who's currently working on the flank steak. Let's see. Uh, yeah, let's go with this one. I know my audience. Pretty, not super tall, about like 5'5", like heavily tan skin, heavily tan, has like a a scar going across her right eye or their right eye rather, has kind of like bubblegum pink red hair, uh super cut short, like really close to the head, and also extremely muscular, and looks as though someone who's also like their hands are maybe mildly calloused and probably had a couple of burns. Some of them might have been oil burns from frying oil, but is just sort of like in the midst and just going on like flank steak. It's like, hello? Are you interested in some food?
I am definitely very interested. Sorry to interrupt.
No.
We kind of crash landed on a bird and they gracefully let us dock here. And I'm just curious on, well, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well, just getting folks situated for lunch. Y'all, the pair of you looks over at Ren with kind of like a raised eyebrow, but does the full, I will describe it as such. If you've ever walked into somewhere and you see a very cute person walk in, and you sort of do the full like look up and down on somebody, does one of those on Ren, and now is like fully taking you, and Jimena is also doing one of those like
Hmm.
kind of does a smile of like not bad.
I see you like short people here at Hanhala instead of tall people.
Cut out.
I'm adaptable, motherfuckers. Don't give me any bullshit. Don't give me any shit for this. My
Yeah.
partner is like 5 foot like 4. They're a good like 8 inches shorter than me, so none of you can tell me anything.
It's a good fit for a hug.
It is very good fit for hug. It is perfect size for a hug. So you two, distracted by the gay though you are, so in order, Ophir, looking through all of the images and sketching it, you see that people have added various additions to the colorations that have happened here. Like someone will start certain drawings, and it looks as though people are like kind of telling the stories of their travels through the air. But additional people might add on things where they're like, if it looks like it's a place that's familiar to them, or like they have a story about, they draw additional things to it. And you see that the moment you start sketching things on yours, the the murals start reacting, almost like they're inviting you to add something to it as well. And the sketches also that you just like, whether it's just scratched out or what have you, also start coming alive.
I think just out of sheer fascination, because art is the only thing that he is good at, does, uh, he is going to be enticed by uh, interacting with the wall and just seeing if he can add anything. I think he's just going to start with a flower.
You add in a flower, and it's strange in that it becomes simultaneously very solid and like marked permanently into the wall, but it seems to be fluid in that if you wanted to add details, it's almost like it presses outward a little bit if you needed to adjust something for it. But even just in that small little addition you've made, it's almost like you hear the sounds of all the people as they've been working on this in past iterations. Quest, on the other hand, because yours was a success. Looking around, you're struck by just how many different signs of happiness people have had. A lot of folks have shared things like adventure, hope. There's a couple moments of like little hearts with a pair of birds that have been illustrated that are like romance and love. You see one depiction at one spot seems to have like a high mountain peak where there's another humanoid and a bird humanoid at the top of it, and almost like they've drawn out or even sometimes just written directly onto the wall like, we finally made it.
Would this? I have a question about fragments.
Yes.
Would this be the occasion on which, if I recognize something, I would call it?
Yes, it would be. And I'm going to tell you all ahead of time, for the sake of our shorter campaign, I will allow anywhere from 2 to 3 fragments to be found per limbo instead of just one, to expedite the process of you all gaining abilities and you all getting to access your memories. But yes, Quest, this would be the moment to mark it. Where
I would like to mark the 2 figures on the top of the peak and the sort of sense of we made it. It kind of makes my whole day slot into place, I think. The tea mash playing first thing in the morning, the door open and people coming in and out, and then loading myself up on carbs and Ovaltine. I remember why I do that. It wasn't just any mountain and it wasn't just any 8,000 meter peak. It was the biggest one. It was the biggest one in the world, and I got to the top of it.
Yep. It flashes for you, Quest. It flashes back to a moment. You can't tell the faces behind or that are around you. You don't exactly know where you are. You just know it's cold. It's very cold. And you swear someone's there with you. Someone whose name you can't remember. You remember the feeling. You remember the feeling of being with them, knowing the world's happiness is with you because you're on your way somewhere. You hear his voice, maybe? Question mark? quest. It's going to be getting pretty rough if we keep going up. You sure you want to keep going on this?
We didn't come this far to come this far. Let's go.
All right. God, I wanted to stop way before this because we already did way more than we needed to.
Yeah, it sucks. This sucks, but it's right there. It's right there. All we have to do is plant the flags.
You are incorrigible. You are the definition of incorrigible.
Look at it. It's what, maybe an hour's climb? We got plenty of daylight left.
Okay. All right. Let's get working on it. You've convinced me.
Look, if you want to stop, we will stop. But I'm not going up there without you.
Look, I know better than to try and tell you no. Hey, like reaches out a hand, like amidst a bunch of what you're realizing are a bunch of covers, you still can't see his face.
Mhm.
And like you're looking directly at him. But you feel the hand on your cheek. Say, hey, I'm with you till the end, okay?
I should certainly hope so.
Right.
Come on.
And I'll love you for no reason.
I love you for every reason.
And it's right as you say, I love you forever. It feels like in your soul, in your mind, and a break just happens. Ophir, you look back and you see Quest has passed out. We out, baby.
Yep, just fully into the bushes. Homer Simpson. Gone.
Amazing.
So, before we continue that scene, though, Antonia, yours was a success, correct?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
you're looking out. You're seeing a very big mechanical bird that all of a sudden, all of its body becomes made of electricity. And then you see another bird of an equally imposing size just start darting towards it as well. Its body becomes pure fire.
Do they seem like occupied over there? Like there's
They are occupied over here.
Okay.
But they also looks as though they have a pair of riders who are trying to get them to stop fighting with each other.
The
That's
first
not
Pokemon movie.
It's like not heartening at all.
It is the first Pokemon movie. Damn it, Mirage. But you're seeing this? It's basically two avian kaiju just going after one another, which is one of the best statements I've ever gotten to make in a game ever.
As long as they're over there and they're not coming in this direction, that's fine? Question mark.
What does strike your attention beyond that, though, is that in the midst of this conflict, the riders managed to get them to stop, but you see them pointing up to the sky. And you notice the sun is beginning to be eclipsed.
Oh.
And as this is happening, as light is beginning to slowly fade, the sunshine having covered all of the land below that you can see from this island, you watch as a torrent of fog begins to sweep over everything down below.
It doesn't feel good.
So that's happening. Meanwhile, back with the lesbians, also one of my favorite statements I've ever gotten to make in a game. It will never make me unhappy. Ren and Jimena.
I think like just trying to obviously a different approach than Midi, like being like, yeah, we're just here. It's like there's actually 5 of us will probably come in to have a top up, but we don't know where we are, and you are a local here, of course.
Yeah.
It would help us to know where we are so we can know where we can need to go.
I'm gonna take that question very literally and explain it in the most accessible way I can. Because, like,
I'm
looking up and down at both you and Ren, you don't look like you're from around here. And I get a
correct.
lot of people with a lot of weird outfits coming through here.
We know we're on a floating island. We know there are special mechanical beasts out there. Fantastic
Yeah, that'd be
beasts.
the mounts.
The mounts.
Yeah.
But that's all we know.
Okay, let's go through it. Number one, this whole world, this whole place that you're in, we call it Erevan.
Erevan.
Yes, you got a name for it. Good. Depending on where you're from, that might sound weird to hear a general name because everyone's got a local name for it because, language doesn't mean jack diddly squat to folks once they have a local term for something. But four big islands up in the sky. Each of them's got an element. You're at a way station. Basically, this is our spots in between when folks are traveling to detect weather patterns and how the mountains and all the islands are moving around, where you can stop and rest. Add your history to the walls if you want, points outside of the murals, and feel free if you wanted to stay up here for a bit, but everyone eventually like goes back down to down below.
Is down below scary?
No, it's just land. Are you scared of land? Have you never been on land before?
I try
What
not
kind
to
of a
be when I
question?
can. Some people are afraid of heights, some people are afraid of depths. I just
Are
want
you
to know
afraid of
the.
land? Are you scared right now?
They roll their eyes. No, I'm not afraid of land. I am not scared. There's not much I'm scared of.
Uh-huh. All
Our
right.
final question, so I can let you do what you are, of course, doing.
Just kidding.
Is there a form of commerce, trade? What? Or
No,
is
you just
this
tell me a
everyone's
story and
just
I'll give
nice
you
here?
food.
Story.
Yeah. Tell me a story. Be remotely interesting. Right now, you're not being interesting. You're just kind of being confusing.
What if we
Are
were to
you?
say that prior to riding one of these mounts and having this encounter with you, we were walking through a building, a sort of way station, and we saw a lovely painting depicting these islands. Simply touched it and have started falling through your skies.
I either say you're full of shit or you're full of some other imbibement, but either way, that's interesting. Want some food?
Are stories and entertainment a sort of not to specifically call it a currency, but is that the culture or custom to give in return when hospitality has been given to you?
Yeah, I'm very open to giving and returning.
Is there something we can do for you beyond being entertaining?
I don't know. Be interesting, perform, talk with me.
Perform, you say? What sort of performance would you have in mind?
I don't
I lead in.
know. Just do your thing. Do you not know how to perform? Do you not have any sort of creative bone in your body? What are these questions I'm getting?
I
I'm
lead
gonna
into
get
Ren
back
and
to
say,
my
I'm gonna go get the others. You go entertain.
right about
And
right about this moment that you see the eclipse happening. You've also going back to Ophir. How do you react to just seeing Quest just straight up pass out?
I would also like to request to do one of those because I think uh
Oh
in that
God.
moment of like finishing doodling, in that brief moment of like, yeah, this is going well, I think I'm feeling okay, everything is great, and turning around after finishing the piece and just seeing this and having that moment of panic, I think that triggers something in particular. And as much as they would like to rush over and help, I think they find themselves frozen and kind of just drop their supplies and stare, as I think they remember uh, being at a super legal art auction and seeing seeing a painting of Ophelia that they counterfeited. And as it is being auctioned off, feeling this sense of accomplishment and pride, but then as one of the people looking it over who's about to buy it, they stop and look very closely at one of the corners. And that is when Ophir's stomach just drops. And he realizes that he forgot something so simple and so important that it completely gives away, no matter how perfect the painting is, that this is a counterfeit, as he forgot the signature. And nobody here knows that he painted it except for maybe one person. But his face just reddens and he is praying that they don't take notice, but of course they do. And he just kind of sinks back into his seat.
We are nearing the end of our session, so there will be just this scene and one tiny thing after this to close this off. I will leave you all on a fun little note, but I want to ask Mirage in this moment, is it okay if I push on the intensity of your backstory in this scene? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. There is a moment where someone does notice. They notice very strongly, and you feel very strong arms like grab you. These are arms that you know have been tender to you before. You don't know how. You don't remember why. But you know someone is grabbing you and pulling you over to another room that you think it's a room you've shared. You don't know where in the city. It's pretty shitty, pretty run down. But you hear someone going, "The fuck are you doing?"
I think we were rushing so much to get it done in time for the auction. I think I just forgot. I think I just forgot.
You just forgot. That's the excuse you're gonna give. You just forgot.
I think I might have fallen asleep, but I'm sorry. I'll do better on the next one.
Listen to me. You know we can't fuck this up. You know what's riding on this.
What happens if we do? I think they noticed.
That's not what I mean. If this goes to shit, I'm not going to be the one who ends up paying for this. You are. You understand that?
But I thought we...
Rat, I'm checking in. Are you still okay? Do you want this to stop here or a bit more? Like,
I'm still good.
Ophir, you do have the sensation of like him grabbing you.
Fear just starts to tremble, both with fear and like a bubbling anger that has been suppressed. And he just goes, I thought we were in this together. We can still, we've always been.
Like, does one of these gestures, it's supposed to be comforting.
He does flinch.
The thing is, he does not understand his own strength, and there is an element where it does become a bit harsh. I'm being too rough again.
Sorry, I missed that last part.
I'm being too rough again.
It's okay. It's okay.
Hey, my little weeping willow. You're gonna be okay. We'll figure this out. And you say, just leave it to, and says a name, but it's like a mute button gets hit, like right when the name's about to be said.
Mm-hmm.
And Ophir, you hear the same thing that Quest has heard, just a rake.
Mm-hmm.
And Jimena, you come out to seeing just Ophir and Quest just passed out. Antonia, you're coming back to like
Yeah, I was
Eclipse.
like,
It's like we're at full, we're running its bad levels of conflict right now.
Basically,
Oh,
Humana
gosh.
does the Witcher thing of fuck. You know, like,
And Ren, you're
I have pulled
What
a
is-
napkin from the dispenser and I have prepared to twirl it around my hand, and maybe that's where it cuts.
yeah, it's like the happiest face Ren's had in ages to get to perform, and that is where we're gonna close the session as stuff has happened. Folks are remembering very vivid things. Folks are in a world that is very weird and very different from where they were from, and that's where we're gonna pick up next week, folks. Thank you for
I'm
tuning
picturing both Quest and Ophir, like just a picture of them, and it's like 10 seconds before disaster in those memories.
in. Yep, pretty much. But I'm gonna let folks go around, say who they've been playing, who they've been, and yeah, who they've been playing, and one thing you are involved in or where folks can find you. So I will go first. My name is Angela Lemos Mogrovejo. I have been your GM for this, and wow, yeah, I'm gonna need to like go actually shower after even trying to play that character because that's a lot. But
I'm sorry.
no, I'm fine with it. I signed on. You can find me being the creative director for Girls Write These Worlds, which is our publishing house wing for Girls Run These Worlds. We are getting ready to launch our Pride zine in a couple of weeks. It's gonna be amazing because the art's great, and one of our players may or may not in this cast be involved with contributing to it, and it's great. I love their contribution. I love him. He's so great. I love him. But I will pass it on over very quickly to DK.
Hi, hello, that's me. I'm DK. Despite what it says on the screen, because I didn't warn the producers, I am now at Cadaver Narratif on Twitter. You can find me on Exquisite Corpse Presents, where we're doing like 20 games for Pride. Come hang out and see that. A bunch of Angela will be there, so come hang out.
Bless you. Passing it over to our own fantastic, soon-to-be panicking Gina, because her character is just seen kaijus.
Hi, I'm Gina, she, her. I've been playing Antonia today. You can find me tomorrow at Sword and Key. We're back with our Fraying Threads campaign tomorrow. It's an Invisible Sun campaign. Check out their Twitter for that at Sword Key. Yeah.
Fantastic. Passing on over to the incomparable delights that is Diana.
Hola, I go by Diana Moon. She, her. I was playing Captain Jimena, trying and failing to see anybody to go to their whims without using a trick they have, which might be used in the next session. And you can find me actually tomorrow on Horde of Tales. They're doing a women in gaming event. I'll be playing in the morning the Dishonored RPG one shot. So very excited for that. And yeah, you can find me on Twitter, where I'm technically the most active right now, as Diana Moon.
Fantastic. My only understanding of Dishonored is rats and stabby stab, which I feel like covers a lot of ground,
Yeah, it's
surprisingly.
basically it. There
I
also
played
wins.
Blades in the Dark, and I finally realized Blades in the Dark is just Dishonored's campaign. So yeah.
You're not wrong. Passing it over to our fantastic producer with the smile that could warm the heart of a long dead soul, Aida.
Hi, my name is Aida. You can find me at In the Pan on Twitter with underscores. And like Diana mentioned, I'm one of the organizers at Horde for Tales, and we are dedicating the month of June to all women and femme exclusive tables. We have quite a number of one-shots. We're still kind of running around for a few panels and discussion points, but definitely check us out for a month full of tables that celebrate, uplift, and just find joy in the unique storytelling that women and femme TTRPG creatives get to bring to the sphere overall. So see you there.
And last but certainly not least, one of my current favorite artists of all time and the softest sad boys in our current cast, Alta Mirage.
Hey, that's me. I'm Alta Mirage. You can find me almost anywhere at Alta Mirage or Alta Mirage Art because I'm an artist. Commissions are open just in case you're interested. But that being said, I play Ophir, sad boy, resident sad boy. That's about it. That's all there is to him. Sad artist boy.
With a history that made me start to almost cry when Mirage proposed it and will probably keep doing so for many sessions. That's the beginning, everybody.
The dice told me. I just put the pieces together.
They really did. The dice character construction in this game is fascinatingly morbid. But on that note, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you to the multiple rates we got, to the folks who recapped. I believe we're at like 20 viewers at one point. Hello. Thank you for supporting these kinds of stories that are messy, complicated, and not always fun, even when we're trying to find hope within the most bitterest of moments. Goddamn, Mirage, your hair is amazing. Anyways, thank you for tuning in. We will see you next week. And remember, folks, it's very difficult times, especially for all of our trans kin and such. Watch out for each other. Take care of one another. And remember, we survive by mutual care, community care, and support. And wearing fucking masks. I will say this repeatedly. Wear goddamn masks. So many of us who are disabled, we would like to also engage with life. But on that note, take care, everybody. We love you. See you next week.